Alright you lot, look here, I've been thinking a little bit and I've come to a realisation that I think many of you have already had for quite some time, but it's only just coming to me, and really that's a me thing, that's not a you thing. I've come to the conclusion that I am part of the problem. Now, that's a broad statement, it could apply to a lot of things, but specifically, I am part of the problem when it comes to the overall complaint about how many Space Marines we get. Because there are things out there that, frankly, I love. I love when Games Workshop does these specific things. And one of those things is updates, like, as in right here. Part of the World Championships preview, which we didn't get round to, and I'd forgotten all about, frankly, is the new Cataphractii Terminators and Breacher squads. And here's the thing. We're going to take a quick look at them, but the question sort of has to be asked in advance of this. Did we even need new Cataphractii Terminators? Is that a thing that we absolutely required for the future going forward? I don't know that we did. Now, we may be taking a look at some fancy new miniatures today, but if you want to get some miniatures at less than the Games Workshop standard rate, then you should take a look at MiniSwap. MiniSwap is a marketplace for buying and selling used miniatures. It was started by hobbyists to provide a safe and reliable way for you to offload some of your pile of potential or pick up something new, or just new to you. With a bunch of filtering options, you can find pretty much whatever you're looking for. If you want something that's new in box but still second hand, you can filter by that. You might be looking for something that's new on sprue, but you don't care about whether it comes in a box or not. You might not even want to assemble or paint your new purchase. You can also filter by fully painted, tabletop standard, or pro. MiniSwap is constantly improving as well. They've added 2 new features recently, one being alerts for listings of specific miniatures. So if you're on the hunt for something that is rare, out of production, then you can create an alert on the website that will tell you when one of those comes up for sale. For instance, I might be having a burst of nostalgia, and what I'd really like is for some of the old Chaos Plague Marines. All I need to do is navigate to the box, and then decide whether I want new in box, new on sprue, perhaps partially assembled. Then I set an alert, and it will let me know when some of those come up. Now, if you want to head over to MiniSwap and sign up using the link in the description and in the pinned comment down below, you will get 0% seller commission for the next 90 days, and you will get free shipping on your first order. A big thank you to MiniSwap for making that possible for you guys and for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. Now, of course, part of the problem here is the fact that I absolutely love me some Terminators. You know this about me. You know that Terminators, tanks and dreadnoughts are the 3 things that I like the most when it comes to Space Marine adjacent stuff, or Imperium stuff at the very least, given that, you know, all of those up there are in fact Astra Militarum tanks and not Space Marine ones. But you know that those are my core loves when it comes to the Imperium. And so when Games Workshop produce things like this, frankly, there is a little part of me that can't help but love them, because, I mean, look, they are big, chunky, girthy boys. They are really nicely designed. I think the new Cataphractii Terminators actually look very, very cool. There's not much in the way of complaints. I think the overall shape of the upper body, they've nailed that. It looks absolutely solid, super well armoured. The gorget looks great. I also quite like the helmet design. Now, I didn't like the redesign they did for the, was it the Mark III, where they stuck like a spike on top of the helmet. I wasn't a big fan of that. That sort of spoiled the look for me personally. But the rest of the armour looked okay. This, I don't really see that many problems with. Also, we've got the extra armour plating at the waist, which at the very least seems more pronounced. I can't remember whether it was on the older kit or not, but we're going to take a look at those in a minute, so we'll find out. Overall, I think the shape of these works super well. They still look extremely broad. They're still very top heavy. They've still got the double shoulder pad thing going on, and those strips of cloth that I always forget the name of, and you always tell me, and one day I'll remember to write it down, or at least copy and paste it into a notepad document or something. Those look fantastic. Also, the tilt shield there, love it. Absolutely great. Another thing, the legs. The legs on Cataphractii Terminators are some of the most fun parts of the armour, which might sound weird, but they're just so chunky. They're so chunky. It feels like multiple layers of armour, and those extra bits of trim make them more interesting than I think what you see on, you know, your standard Terminator armour. So, overall, this is a very good redesign. I think they look decent. They are also obviously a bit taller. the scaling has been changed somewhat. So we've got longer legs, we've got a slightly longer torso as well, it feels like. The arms are a bit better proportioned in some ways. And all of this is kind of adding up to the idea of, well, clearly then it was worth updating them. Clearly they needed to be changed because these are, for the most part, positive changes, right? Also, the clusters of lenses on some of them, love that. Absolutely love it. They look fantastic. Now, obviously, that's a lot of praise. That's a lot of praise I've just heaped on those Terminators, so it would be kind of weird to suddenly go across and go, but do we need them? But that's still what I'm going to do, because the fact is that I think the old ones still look really, really good. I mean, if we take a look at these, there may be some differences in terms of maybe the detail is a little bit crisper on the new ones, but I don't know that that's necessarily all that noticeable. Obviously, the loadouts here aren't the same, so that will make a difference. Just the overall presentation of them is different, and so it'll alter the way we're viewing them a bit. But at the end of the day, we do still have here the same unit, just about. And whilst the new ones do look really, really good, I don't know that these look old enough or dated enough to warrant being replaced. I mean, things like the tilt shields, which I really like, are still present. Things like the plating on the legs is still present. The proportions, I would argue, are not as good. I think if anything, that is the one thing that these struggle with a little bit. But even then, I don't think these struggle with that anywhere near as much as the old Space Marine Terminators for 40k. Those had a distinct issue when it came to the scaling that really made them look a little bit, not janky, but there seemed to be a whole lot of compressed spine and too short legs going on with that particular kit, which wasn't ideal, but also was something that we got used to and didn't really notice after a while. It was only when we see the scaled up stuff that you go, oh yeah, that other guy didn't look ideal, but until that point, it wasn't really something that we focused on all that much. I think the helmets on these still look good. The posability, well, it's fine. It's okay from what I remember building a squad of these. 2 squads of these, actually, thinking about it. But I'm just looking at these and going, I think they still hold up. I think they actually still hold up. And yet, we do have these newer offerings, which, for me, I mean, they do look better. These also do something that I think help with the overall scale a little bit in the form of the power fists that they've got there, because they are nowhere near as massive. Now, this is something that I'm not sure whether I like or not. See, one of the charming things about a power fist is that it is huge. It's absolutely massive, like ludicrously big, twice the size of the other hand. And that can lead to a strange balance issue when you look at the miniatures, but at the same time, it's a fist designed specifically for punching things. Do we care about subtlety? Do we care about them being correctly scaled, etc. and so on? I don't know that we do. I've never sat there, like playing Space Marine 2, for instance, using the power fist on the bulwark and thought to myself, yeah, this is fun, but the power fist could do with being a bit smaller. I don't think anyone's ever thought that. And so the choice that they've made here to change that aspect is an interesting one. But at the same time, I will have to concede that the overall scale of them does seem to work that little bit better. Things like your dangly bits coming down from the shoulders, they are better done here. I'm sorry, but they just are. There's more detail going on, they're a bit more discernible. I think that's a definite improvement. The shoulders themselves are still pretty faithful to the old ones, but at the same time, I don't think there's necessarily anything, hugely new going on, just a bit of rescaling. But they do still work really nicely. But this is where I'm kind of struggling a bit, because again, I'm looking at these new ones. We're going back and forth. And whilst I do like them, I don't know that the improvement is enough to warrant getting rid of the old ones. Or at least, I don't know that they've been improved so much that it makes the old ones seem obsolete and, no longer fit for purpose. And I guess that's one of the things that I've kind of become increasingly more curious about, right? So, when is it that a miniature becomes unfit for purpose? When do we get to the point where it simply does not fit in with the existing range, that it needs to be replaced because it has no place where it is currently? How do we decide when that is? How does Games Workshop decide when that is? Is that something that they just do on a rolling basis and it's a case of, well, it's X number of years old, so we'll replace it? Not really, because we've seen them replace things that are relatively new, but also not touch things that are absolutely ancient. I'm looking at you, all the Phoenix Lords, who took forever to get any sort of update. Whereas Marnius Calgar has had like 4 or 5 models, whatever it is. It kind of makes me question, when is the decision made that this is not good enough anymore and needs to be changed? Given that when we look at these Terminators, we see models that, for my money, are definitely better, but I don't think are better enough to warrant scrapping the ones that came before. So really, I'm just going to hand this over to you. When do you think that cut-off point is? Do you think these needed to be changed out? Do you think they were fine how they are? Do you think the new ones are enough of an improvement that actually they needed new ones of these, that the new ones are good enough that they just wipe the floor with the old ones, and that, frankly, it's good that they're being replaced with them? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'd be super curious to know what you make of all of that. And don't forget to check out MiniSwap using the link in the description and in the pinned comment. Thank you again to MiniSwap for sponsoring the episode. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.